All right, this segment I'm gonna go over materials. All right, so this is the rubric that I used. So let's see. All right, so first on the list is environment desert storm cardstock. So this paper right here. I'm gonna move this away. All right, so this is a 8.5 by 11 environmental cardstock paper. You can feel this. It's not a Xerox copy paper you will get. It's usually used for cover. It's 100 pounds weight. You can get 80 pound. It's fine. I get 100 pound because I also use gouache, which I'll show you guys later. Which is it's opaque watercolor. So to having a thicker paper, it helps avoid of the paper kind of buckled up. It has this kind of tan color to it. Um, to be honest, with all the material that I have here, if you don't have access to these material, anything will be fine. Mainly, it's about for this course. It's about I want to show you guys the process of how I observe and sketch based on certain processes allow you to draw both organic subject and mechanical subject. This I think that's the most important skill you guys wanted to get off on this course. You can also like I said, you can also just get white paper. That's fine. This is just this is probably a little bit thicker than the regular copy paper, but you can see it's a lot more thinner. Doesn't really matter. Paper is paper, and long as you can make mark to it, that'll be fine. The only thing was if you have a thinner paper, you probably can't use anything, with water mediums. And also you don't have to. The gouache is optional medium for this courses. You can use color pencils, you can use markers, whatever is more convenient for you, something you can get your hand on it. And a lot of time this course is original was designed on locations. Matter of fact, every week I taking my student onto locations, to zoo, aquariums, places like that. Sometimes can be a little bit um, hectic to bring watercolor stuff, and some museums won't even allow you to bring watercolor. So color pencil marker would do. All right. The other reason why I use the tan paper is because it allow me to put white over it like this. You can see it's fun, and a lot of time it basically what happens is tone on paper give you certain values already. It can be a lighter half tone, or it can even use it in a half tone. And so usually what I'll do is after I sketch it in, I'll basically blocking all the shadow mask. I'll taking my white and just kind of basically pick out the highlights. It's really fun to do, very satisfying. And plus, this is how we paint too. So obviously with the white paper, you can't really use the white for the highlights. But like I said, the white paper just is just fine. And you can get, like I said, you can also, if you don't want to use the white, this is actually this is what do. All right. So this is the environment desert storm cardstock. Well, the next one on the list is basically, or you can get any sketchbook. There's a sketchbook out there I don't have with me because I don't use a sketchbook anymore because I don't. To me, it's a little, it's not that economical because you can get a whole rim of this, and for the same price as you're gonna get probably three of these sketchbook. Sketchbook nice. You can basically ring bounds, you can hold in your hands, but they get pretty pricey. I usually what I'll do, I just have a stack of these paper. I'll basically have a clip and put it on a clipboard, and I'll just take it with me like that. All right. So all right, let's look at some drawing material. Let's look at some pens. I got Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pen, and I have two sizes. I have a small, extra small. Is these guys right here. This is going to be our main tool that I'm going to be used. This is what I drew with these marine animal. This is also what I drew with these marine animal also. But this is in a brown ink, as you can see. Because this class actually is designed for entertainment students. I teach this course for entertainment track. So there's a little different when I teach all across different departments. I teach for illustrations, I have taught fine art, I teach right now in the past probably more than 5 years, I have been only teaching entertainment students or animation students. So they're looking for a little bit different content, and they tend to look for more of storytelling and more direct drawings. Means they want to get things done quick because usually the production, production is pretty quick, and they wanted to get the get the story concept down quickly. Matter of fact, the cardstock paper, it has two-sided. You can't see this on the camera. You can only feel it. This one side you're gonna feel a little bit smoother than the other side. Sometimes you have to kind of put your pen down to get the. All right, this is the smoother side. The usually they would smoother side means they just have a coating on it, and for the liner, because it's very direct mediums. As a matter of fact, for this class, for this course, there's all the tools that we're going to be used going to be a non-erasable tools. So there's no pencils, so you don't use any pencil, even color pencil. In terms for drawing, you can use color pencil for coloring, but don't use it for for drawing. I want everything has to be done with permanent mediums. The reason why is because I wanted that direct process. When you're putting the mark down, I want to put down carefully. I want to put down that you really think about the mark that you're putting it down. I can show you guys a way, even if you screw up, there's still a way we can correct it. But the problem is, I notice if I have a student to use pencils and they have this, since they know if they screw up, they can erase. So a lot of time what happens is they just tend to draw really fast and not really kind of give a good thoughts about what the mark they're putting it down. So in this case, with the with a liner or ballpoint, any other permanent mediums, it forces students to be a little more precise, a little more careful, and everything just like every sports. More you do it, it's gonna just start getting faster and faster. So at first, it's gonna feel probably very uncomfortable. Feel like the line the dark intense line just kind of bounce back to you like you're freaking out. It's gonna happen, especially the first, the first two the two module we're going to be working with mainly just muscle memory, and that's why this course is designed that way, because I want you guys to get comfortable just using these permanent mediums, get understanding the form of what's comfortable for you, what's comfortable for you to draw a nice ellipse, nice straight lines, nice circle. There's certain way that's might works better for you and then than me, but I will show you that. So the liner you can see is very direct mediums. You can't cheat with this. Once you put down, it's there, and there's not much gradation you can do. It doesn't matter how light, how heavy you put down the mark. It's just going to be one nice intense values. It can do a little bit of a line weights. You can have a little bit thick and thick to thin to it, but it's a very direct medium. Like I said, it's good for drawing both organic and for mechanical subjects. The only problem is, I like this pen a lot. It's but it's this artist pen is not the liner. Some people get confused with the liner. Liner looks like this. This is the liner. They actually indicate it shows you says liner. The liner, the nib is a little more hard, so it gives you a more precise line width. It's more for architectures like draftings. So the nib is very hard. For artist pen, the nib is softer. I think they all make probably plastic, so it's softer. And in that case, every mark you're putting down on the page, you are literally sanding a little bit of that nib. So by time this pen, this is brand new. After probably halfway into the module, you got no more left. This is the same pen right here, and you can see there's barely anything left. All right, so this will happen. So I will suggest you, if you are you're gonna use this pen is made by Faber-Castell, which is one of my favorite brand. They make good good art supplies. And then get couple of these. I have, like you can see, I have a bunch of it because I know how fast they can wears out. All right. All right. So this is the Faber-Castell artist pen. This is size small. This is extra small. I don't use extra small anymore because it's just for the ones that you guys just start using this tool and not quite, like I said, if you're not feel a little bit intimidated with extra small, it can put down a little bit thinner and it can still come back. You can still come back. You don't want to push this down hard though. The extra, you can still come back with small. And darken the line you want. So it's just, again, it just kind of help put some weight off their shoulders. All right, so next on the list is a Faber-Castell Artist Pen B Black. So it can be any black marker. Just sometime in the drawing, there might be certain areas needs to be flat, kind of a flat black. Because the thing with the liner is because its contacting point is so thin. So a lot of times for you to fill in a certain solid area, it's gonna take you forever. And so with a marker, it's just quicker. For example, I just say with this sea turtle, this body part is is a solid black. We can just come back in and just kind of paint that black, even that the let's just say the fin in the back is solid. We could just do that. See how quickly it covers it out. Versus you're gonna try to use a liner, you could probably gonna take you about like a minute to do so. Versus the marker just second. All right. So, but any black marker will be fine. And Copic sketch marker. So here's a Copic marker. Why is it sketch marker? Sketch marker is these, and it's a little bit less expensive. And these are the professional grade, which looks like a square barrel, versus these more sketch type is more thinner barrel. Um, it's, it's less expensive, but the ink ran out pretty quickly. I should notice that. Um, but yeah, and then the thing is, so he has two ends. The sketch, I don't know why the sketch marker they have this more of a sponge end and also has this more chisel end. And I like the sponge end because it gives you a little more of a variety of different shapes. And the chisel end is nice for again for direct, very kind of direct, quick applications. But for the professional grade, I don't know why they don't make the spongy end. They just have one fine tip and one chisel end. But the ink lasts longer. Again, it doesn't have to be Copic. It can be any brand. Just happened. This is where I have access to, and I have a couple different shade. But just get even number 246. I have right here. I have number 2. I have a 4, 6. I even have an 8 right here. And what this is I And also, remember earlier I said the cardstock has two sides, the one with the coating, one that was without. So usually a marker, probably you want to use the one with the coating, because if you're not, the side that without it, it's gonna sucks in the ink a little bit more. So it's gonna your marker is gonna run out even quicker. So use on the smoother side. With the number two, you're gonna see is you're gonna barely. It's almost like a little ghost kind of ghost shade, and when it dries, it's gonna actually be probably be even more lighter. And again, it's something, it's just another substitutions than to the extra small liner. Because if you feel a little bit intimidated, I will use this later for exercise. I will use this to just to begin with, and then, like I said, if you're not, you can't freehand square, you can't freehand your lips, or you have to do it somewhat. You have to do like a consistent degrees of lips. You feel like, oh, you're a little bit intimidated. Start with a marker first. You see how when you try it out, it gets a little bit lighter, and then we can come back with a liner and just come back and outline them. One thing you notice when I draw, most of the time, I'm drawing with my whole arm, and that's important. That's keep your lines nice and consistent. If you use drawing with only your wrist, and sometimes you might shake, you might get stuck with but if you draw your arm, um, I'll talk about it. Let's just focus on the supply list. I was gonna say our arm is built for the mechanics of arm is built for drawing pretty good lines and circles. All right, so again, these is a different shades work very well for mechanical stuff. Let me show you some examples. So these would military week, which we draw some military vehicles. I I probably wouldn't suggest to use actually, to be honest, I never really done with the gouache when on military vehicles, and then liner also takes too long. I think with the marker, it just quick. Again, it just quick and clean. And usually these things mostly makes with like middles. So it's nice to have these kind of very flat, clean shade, and versus gets too much strokes and stuff looks like all kind of beat up or kind of rusty. So marker works really great, very good, and even for anything, for animals, you can do that too. So here's another examples. All right, so that's a marker. Next one on the list is gel rolling pen, which is basically is a white gel pens like this. This is what you see me done with all these highlights. It's like a whiteout. I pretty much is probably sim substance as the whiteout. So when you draw on, you have this kind of almost feel like it's like almost feel like acrylic paint, and then when you dry, you can feel there's even has some texture to it. It's a little bit thicker. It's great to give these little pop. There's a pop with highlights, but if you do it too much, it's gonna start looking like it's start gonna look a little flat. So looks like a little trick that uh, uh, that you try to apply. And so anything, again, like anything else, you don't want to overdo it. You want to trying to find a balance. So I have another, oh, it's probably later on the list, which is have another white, more like a charcoal pencil, which is give you a little more of a middle, um, subtle highlight, which you can see it right here. So before I put down these gel, because you can't go any more lighter than this. This is light as you can get, and it's plastic. When you dry like plastic, so it's very opaque. And so you want to have a little bit of like luminosity, which is I use that white charcoal, which is I show you this right here, and just barely anything left. I think this is also a Faber-Castell um, white pastel probably, but you can see it's it's charcoal. It's like it's kind of like charcoal, yeah. So you can get smear, or we can use. Here is also a Faber-Castell. I know this. This is the um, polychromo. Here we go, polychromo. So this pretty much is like color pencil. It's like Prisma color pencil. So it's a little bit waxier. It doesn't smear like the charcoal would do, and you can see you can apply down nicely. It doesn't have the rich white as the charcoal would give you. But the problem is, yeah, you can get smear, maybe stacked paper on top of not top of it. It could get stains on the back of the paper, and then you can pick up some of this charcoal. So either way, you want to have a a secondary white than just the gel white itself. All right. So what's next? Next is Big Four color ballpoint. This is a nice tool too, which is basically just a multicolor ballpoint, and it's always fun to have something that says instead just a black color. You should just find always have a different color, and and you can do something like um, this example right here, this ostrich. You can combine them, play with the color. Again, when you're on locations, I want something that I can just, I don't need to keep going into my backpack, pick out stuff, and I can just basically, if I want to play with the color, I'll just use this. I like and often I like to start sketch with green color. You notice I pretty much use the green, and for also for mechanical stuff works really well. And you can again see right here. Here the wheels are hard, and wheels really hard to draw. I'll show you guys when we get to the automobile week, and because just endless the ellipse within ellipse within ellipse, just it's difficult. And with a liner to block in, kind of block all this kind of perspective, it could be also could be very intimidating. One beautiful thing about the ballpoint is it's a very delicate mediums. And I like to use green because it's a little bit subdued. It doesn't jump out to like the red or more intense color does. And and you can see today, if I'm gonna draw a ellipse with my liner, I'm sorry, not liner, artist pen. Or if I screw up, I'm gonna go over several times. By the third or fourth ellipse, start going to look very bad. It's gonna start looking, it's the lines just gonna get really dark and just get looks very sketchy, and then you start freaking out, and it's just everything is gonna go south from that point. But with the ballpoint, you can see nothing coming out. Hold on, here we go. You can see I can keep building it. It still look pretty good. See that one, how many loop I went over, probably more than that artist pen, but still looks very clean. So it's really great. Like again, all these tools I'm basically showing you guys here. you can use whatever your own favorite tool. Probably maybe not on the list. This is just something that I pick out for, I need to pick out some tools for my classes. So these are just something that I use. You can use whatever you like. You can use a brush pen if you want to. But but like I said, I'm just showing you guys what the pros and cons for each tool. Every tool has, like I said, his advantage and his disadvantage. And you can just try. I always tell my student, you want to experiment. You don't want to stuck with one tool or even one style and just too comfortable and because when you get too comfortable, you not really advance yourself. And what happened, you just kind of stay where you're at. And because every tool that you have, what we use here, like I said, has pros and cons. Sometimes it forces you to do certain things you didn't expect. And guess what? That's when you learn. You're gonna those happy surprises. I need those happy surprises for me. First of all, it excites me, right? And because I want that excitement, and then feel like I'm learning something new, and you know I never knew I can use a liner on the white paper because I always been doing on the tan paper, and I realized, well, maybe this works better than print. The brown paper maybe it feels like it's make the image feels a little bit subtle, maybe not very good, maybe on print doesn't work that well. Why? Just feels like I said, the contrast it has stronger contrast, looks better on the maybe you want to post this in social media, maybe this can this reads better, right? Or maybe like I said, you try it out, try everything. Use fountain pen, use whatever, use your fingers, whatever. All right, so here's the ballpoint, and like I said, it's a very delicate. You can go darker, you can go dark and light, you can go somewhat, you can go thick and thin, but mostly, like I said, even if you draw anything, it's just beautiful, just very clean, very elegant. You draw like again, if circle, ellipse, it just keep looping it, and like I say, it's not you won't get stressed out with it. So that's a ballpoint, and again, you have different color, and you can play with you can play with overlapping color to get some warm and cool. All right. So let's see what's next. All right, preppy fountain pen. Well, any fountain pen would do. Preppy fountain pen just probably is the most economical fountain pen you can find out there. They're very inexpensive, maybe like $8 to $10, and it can go up to something pretty fancier. But to be honest, I use I had the preppy fountain pen. I have something a little more nicer. They'll work. There's of course, it's a little bit different. The precise of how the ink coming off on the nib, the position of it, yes, you can feel a bit different, but you know, um, it's not that much. All right, so here's my fountain pen. I have two. This is a super fine nib, and have one that's slightly thicker. And I have two different ink. You notice I have a brown ink and I have a black ink. This is the first fountain pen I have. The only problem with the fountain pen, because all right, so the preppy fountain pen that it's on the list, they have two cartridge system. The way they refill the ink. One is a like this. It's a like a pump, like a plunge like this. Basically, you need to get a bottle. So either you have just a refillable cartridge, which is you just easy, just take it out and put a new one in, and you get ready to go. or you just have to do a little bit of work, have this kind of plunge, has little this twisty things on the back. You basically dip your pen into your bottle, and you twist this thing on at the back end, and basically vacuum and sucks up the ink. And the benefit with that, because you got a variety of different colors. Just the cartridge, you're pretty limited with the colors, and maybe only probably of or 5 out there maybe. But with the bottle, you got the full spectrum of color that you can play with. So I have a brown ink here called Macassar by Fountain Pen Ink. I don't know what brand is this. A diamond, right? And this is a Waterman. And so what happened is the nib. Let me put it this back in. If you look carefully, the nib has a little splits, kind of splits in. And so what happened is when you press it down, the ink, it basically kind of it coming out from the tip. And that's why you can't get anything classic than fountain pen. This has been out there for hundreds of years. Michelangelo uses, Da Vinci uses. They obviously use different. They use different type. They actually physically have it dip into the ink, but it's again, you can't, the way the ink coming out from the page, the way they applies on the page, nothing that's on the list has that classic, um, just pure joy by having, like, get a sense of just a like real ink coming out from the pen and onto this page. Everything feels a little more artificial once you use your fountain pen. And that's why these skull that you saw, that what I did, and it had this more almost kind of illustrative, more class, become more of a classic crosshatch, and you really enjoy. You can get thick to thin, and so it's very very elegant. You can't really get much of a gradation of the line, but it can definitely, like I say, the way the line come out, it's just pure elegance, right? And then it's just beautiful. All right, so that's a fountain pen, and what do we have on next? Faber-Castell polychromo pencil, white color. Oh, that's actually, I do have this on this. So this. So Faber-Castell polychromo pencil, white color. This is what I already showed you guys earlier. So basically just another substitution of the white before we put that, put this gel pen over it. But and then again, you can see you have to probably push it down pretty hard to get it, pretty white. But still, it's not white as you can't get really bright. The one next to it is Sharpie Peel Off China marker white. All right, so this is what this is. And you guys probably all have seen a China marker. This thing is powerful. This is like the big brother of of all these white we have here. The reason why, if you screw up, sometimes you probably will. Let me try. I don't know. I just maybe use this. All right. Let's just say if you screw up this drawing right here, and then like you don't want to use the gel, because like I said, the gel pen just gets too opaque. And then, but for the other white, it doesn't really. You want it to go more lighter, but you can't. Just or you want to bring in some highlight back into it. So, but the China marker, I don't know what material it is. Looks super waxy. It's everything. Once you put this down, everything, it just disappeared. It covers all everything. So it's a great tool to, to fix. Like say you wanted to give more highlights here or whatever, maybe give more highlights. So if, like say, if I want to blast a light in here, look what this can do. Boom. It covers up everything. But once you put this on, because it's a pretty much a thick wax, you can't put anything on top anymore. So this is pretty much this is final once you put this down. But like I said, this can cover any mistake that you make. You don't like this, you can basically cover this up. All right. So this is the white China marker, and I think all these are required supplies, and here you got some optional supplies. So small watercolor set or gouache. Let me clean the table a little bit. All right, so the ones, if you guys don't know what gouache is, the gouache basically is opaque watercolor. I use this brand. It just, again, something I have access to. It's by Holbein. It's a Japanese brand. It's basically, you can see it's a gouache right here. And you doesn't matter which brand, you can use Winsor Newton. Use Winsor Newton, I should make great gouache. The reason why I use I use this brand is because it's a little bit watery. When I do demo, I'll show you guys. The paint's a little bit watery. For the Winsor Newton, it's a little more dense and thicker, more kind of more gluier. So when I do a lot of locations, sketches with gouache. And if you go on location, you notice that these gouache can dry pretty quickly. So for me, it works nice. It works out nice if you have a paint that is already a little bit, watery, so it lasts a bit longer. Versus Winsor Newton's is like it dries out a little quick, and so again, so here's a gouache, and here's some of the examples. Let me move this. So here these sketches done with the gouache. You can see gouache is almost like if you water down a lot, it works almost like watercolor. You can't tell that's a watercolor gouache. It's probably when you get to more opaque area, these strokes probably can tell it's more more done with the gouache because you have that density. So these was done with the gouache too. You can tell it's fun. I really enjoyed it. But at the same time, you notice my paper. I don't know how well you can see on the camera. It basically warped actually quite a lot. So that's why I used 100 pounds. So at least, or if I'm lazy. I didn't do this. You can probably taper down nicely, so you probably wouldn't be so warped like this. But you will warp a little bit. All right. So these were done with the gouache, and I'll show you guys how I do. I really enjoy to use the gouache because again, I like that little bit of out of control accidental effect with the wet and wet versus color pencil markers, a little bit predictable. So I like, again, since I like to work more impressionistly, so I like a little bit kind of a little more unpredictable how things will turn out, and then just kind of fighting my way to making sure and the overall end result will still turn out, and I enjoy that process. So that's gouache, and then I use just a paper palette, and so basically just paper palette. I don't think this will work just on locations, because even if you do this on location, you probably want to have some type of like a tray, like butcher tray or something. You can put this paper palette in this. But if just by itself on a desk, like what I have here, that would be okay. And then we got color pencils. I don't have here because I don't use color pencils. And then again, keep in mind, it's not for sketch, only for coloring. And you can have color markers. I also don't have color marker. I just have the grayscale color marker because marker expensive. You have to get a lot. And those Copic marker, they they're pretty pricey. All right. So these are my supplies, and like I said, each supplies has its benefit and also its disadvantage. But I want you guys all experiment with them, and and then like I said, I can guarantee you, you're gonna have a blast with them. Um, you have to stick with them for a little bit. You can't just like make a mark and go, this doesn't work for me, and I don't like it, and then just switch back to something that that you feel comfortable with. It's like learning anything new, learn a new tool. You need to take a little bit of time. It's like meeting a friend. Take a little bit of time to know what each medium's response can do for you. And like I said, maybe certain subject you prefer one than another, but like I said, at the end, you would for sure get something out of it, and that's gonna be with you forever. All right, so that's the supply list.